Okay, so far we've been working on Hizadai because that was the one stance we could very confidently recreate. We found a fragmentary upload of a scroll online that was originally like one illustrating stances and how the eye works with the sights. Unfortunately, because it's an old Yahoo Auctions listing, we did not have the complete scroll. We only had 3 photos of one section of it. We had no idea if the seller had actually ever taken more or if it just limited to that on, I think it was Okfan or Okview. So the main guy on our translation team, Yuito Arachi, he went through a whole bunch of archive sites and managed to find a thumbnail version of the original photos. I think we might actually have the whole complete scroll at this point, just in varying degrees of quality. So parts of it, the writing, we cannot recover, but we were able to recover the standing shooting stance. And I cannot tell everybody enough how fantastic this is. Trying to recreate the entire school from just one Hizadai illustration is not very tenable. However, with 2 basic stances, it's very doable now. What you'll notice is that the upper body for the standing position is identical to Hizadai. There's no difference to worry about. And there's a shocking amount of similarity between the lower body. So, if you look where my feet are positioned here, so I've got my front foot pointing towards the target, and where I'm sitting on my right heel, that's actually not going to move when I stand up. If you look at this position, see the heel right here? When I stand up, the foot is going to kind of flip over, so of course the flat of my sole is going to land there, but the heel is going to stay in the same position. So what happens with this is it creates a slightly offset stance. I'm just going to scoot back just a little bit for everyone here. So you'll notice that my heel from here would be lined up with about the middle of this foot. The way they drew this in the illustration is they drew a line from this heel to about the midpoint of the ankle. That was to show it's offset. Your front foot is still going to be pointing at the target. This one is bent back at a 45-degree angle. Just like with the Hizadai stance, where your right leg is the one that's far more bent than the left, this is more or less straight. Not locked, but straight. This one, you've got a slight bend to it, so this foot is ending up taking up most of your weight. You'll notice in the illustration, it shows the toe is bent like it's clamping onto the ground, so that's to give you a little bit of extra stability. Now I'm going to move the camera up to show the upper body. So, just like a Hizadai, this is not going to be sideways. It's turned at a 45-degree angle once again. So, there's very little difference between the 2 stances. This twist might feel a little bit unnatural and uncomfortable at first, and yeah, it's normal. You're going to feel a little bit strain in this leg. But if you lose your balance, there's definitely something wrong. So experiment with clamping down with that big toe. Just do some nuanced things with the legs. As long as you're not locking this one's got a slight bend, your feet are shoulder width apart, and you have that offset I talked about, including these angles being correct, you should be fine. You can work within that. You'll also notice in the illustration, there's a slight lean backwards that's pretty subtle, but again, this putting almost all of your weight on the back leg. So, now we've got 2 functioning stances for everybody to use. We have a Hizadai and standing stance. We can see very strong similarities between the 2 and consistent themes going on. So we know what is a standard for the school and its way of doing things. That means that when we encounter other stances where we might not have every detail, we can see the general rule set for how things are done and recreate it with a pretty high degree of accuracy. So, once again, if people have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. We can discuss it. Get to work, guys.